Methylene Blue, stepping into the blue? Methylene Blue has recently been gaining popularity again, especially in biohacker circles, where this blue substance is increasingly used as a nootropic to enhance cognitive performance. However, few people know that methylene blue was first synthesized in 1876 by the German chemist Heinrich Caro at the Badische Anilin- und Sodafabrik BASF in Ludwigshafen and was already used in 1886 by Paul Ehrlich in the fight against malaria. This video looks back at the origins and nearly 150 years of methylene blue applications, provides insights into its biochemical properties, and explores modern scientific research and promising future applications. Enjoy listening. What is methylene blue? C16H18CLN3S? Methylene blue, also known as methylthioninium chloride, is an organic basic cationic dye that, as the name suggests, exhibits a strong blue color in aqueous solution and has a half-life of about 12 to 13 hours. From a biochemical perspective, methylene blue is rich in electrons, OH-, which makes it highly effective at neutralizing free radicals and donating electrons to the body without causing oxidative stress. Common applications involve 0.5% to 1% aqueous solutions, which can be applied externally, for example transdermally, sublingually, or internally, for example orally via injection or per intravenous infusion. Except for IV administration, oral intake is considered the best option, as stomach acid appears to improve its bioavailability. Dr. Hartmut Fischer, a neuropathic practitioner, also known as Heilpraktiker in Germany, has frequently reported on the exciting potential of methylene blue, particularly in combination with dimethyl sulfoxide, abridged DMSO. According to literature, initial methylene blue use typically starts with 10 drops of a 1% solution in water. A 1% solution contains 0.5 milligrams of methylene blue per drop, meaning that 20 drops equal 10 milligrams of methylene blue. The principle of hormesis applies to methylene blue, following the so-called Arndt-Schulz rule. Quotation: weak stimuli enhance biological activity, moderate stimuli promote it, strong stimuli inhibit it, and the stronger stimuli abolish it. End of quotation. This explains why even low concentrations like 0.5% to 1% of methylene blue can be effective, and why more is not always better. Warning: methylene blue intake may cause urine and stool to take on a blue-green hue, depending on dosage, and entirely normal effect of consuming a dye. So don't be alarmed if you suddenly turn blue. However, rest assured you won't turn into a Smurf. The history of methylene blue, from Heinrich Caro to Paul Ehrlich. Despite its current trendiness in biohacker circles, methylene blue was first synthesized in 1876 by German chemist Heinrich Caro at BASF. BASF states, quotation, during experiments on a new intermediate product, he succeeded in producing a purely blue dye for cotton, Methylene Blue. 1 year later, BASF received the first German Reich patent for a tar dye. End of quotation. Since then, Methylene Blue has had a nearly 150-year history of various applications, including its use in 1886 as a medicine to combat malaria. Dr. Paul Ehrlich discovered that methylene blue stained living nerve cells blue, as well as malaria pathogens. Furthermore, one of the first antipsychotic drugs was derived from methylene blue, and it has been used as an antiseptic, a treatment for urinary tract infections, and even as an antiviral infusion. Ehrlich referred to methylene blue as, quote, magic bullet, quote. Although methylene blue faded into obscurity as other chemical compound emerged, modern medicine, alternative healing practice, and biohacker communities are rediscovering its potential. Note: just because a treatment falls out of favor does not mean it's part of a conspiracy. Medical therapies, like everything else, follow trends. What's outdated today may be rediscovered tomorrow. Methylene Blue, antioxidant and energy booster. What makes methylene blue unique? Many substances boost cellular metabolism, but often at the cost of oxidative stress. Methylene blue, however, appears to enhance energy production while simultaneously reducing oxidative stress. To understand methylene blue's impact on the mitochondria, our cell's powerhouse, we need to look at the electron transport chain and cellular respiration. Methylene blue functions as an alternative electron donor, transporting electrons from NADH to cytochrome C in the mitochondria. This allows methylene blue to increase energy production without causing oxidative stress, making it both an antioxidant and a metabolic enhancer. Admittedly, at first glance, this might not seem like easy beach reading, but since we want to at least begin to understand how methylene blue works, let's venture a short excursion into cellular respiration. First, let's briefly summarize the respiratory chain. Quote: the respiratory chain is a component of metabolism in the inner mitochondrial membrane. In eukaryotes, the reaction involves the enzyme complexes 1 to 4 and the hydrogen ion, proton, and electron carriers ubiquinone, coenzyme Q, and cytochrome C, which are embedded or anchored in the inner mitochondrial membrane. The electrochemical gradient caused by the electron transport chain is used for ATP synthesis, oxidative phosphorylation. End of quotation. Anyone who would like to refresh their biology knowledge regarding the respiratory chain can do so, for example, with this video. I post the link in the video description. Now, I'm not a chemist or microbiologist, just a layman interested in these fields. So if you're an expert in these fields and you're reading my article or listening to this video and you're discovering serious biochemical errors in what's presented, please correct me so I can adjust and correct the article, respectively the video, accordingly. Please send an email to info@heilpraktiker-stoesslein.de. I also link the email in the video description. Thanks in advance. Methylene blue, blue arrow in the diagram, appears to act as an alternative electron donor for the mitochondrial electron transport chain, by transporting said electrons from NADH to the electron carrier cytochrome C. The unique feature of methylene blue is that it increases cellular energy production, which normally leads to oxidative stress, and eliminates this oxidative stress, making it A, an antioxidant, and B, a, quote, metabolism booster, quote, without causing oxidative stress. Methylene blue as a nootropic? The term nootropic comes from Greek noos equals mind, intellect, or perception, and trepein means to turn or direct. Studies suggest that low doses of methylene blue enhance memory and provide neuroprotection. Additionally, methylene blue acts as an acetylcholine esterase inhibitor, prolonging the availability of acetylcholine, a key neurotransmitter in learning and memory. One study found that even a single dose of methylene blue improved short-term memory performance. Another experimental tested methylene blue's effect on anxiety. Participants who took methylene blue had reduced fear responses compared to a placebo group. Methylene blue versus Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease, named after the German neurologist Alois Alzheimer, is a, quote, progressive atrophy of the cerebral cortex based on multifactorial inheritance, usually occurring between the ages of 50 and 60. End of quotation. For reasons of comprehensiveness, the complete etiology of Alzheimer's disease cannot be fully discussed here. However, the following should be mentioned. The deposition of clumped so-called tau proteins inside the nerve cells is inextricably linked to Alzheimer's disease. Professor Dr. Bragg says, quote, apparently, the changes typical of Alzheimer's disease begin in the brain stem and spread slowly and inexorably from nerve cell to nerve cell like a steam locomotive. However, symptoms of the disease, such as forgetfulness or disorientation, only appear after decades. End of quotation. The tau expert Professor Dr. Heiko Bragg, one of the world's most cited neuroscientists, is the originator of the eponymous, quote, Bragg stages, end quote, which classify the progression of common neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson, etc. Another tau expert, Dr. Claude Wischig, discovered as early as the 1980s that methylene blue caused the so-called tau fibrils in test tubes to disappear. The Alzheimer's Research Initiative, Alzheimer Forschungsinitiative e.V., published on its website back in 2013, quote, according to this, referring to Dr. Wischig's discovery, methylene blue is said to attack the altered tau proteins and halt the progression of the disease. The evaluation of his study on people with mild and moderate Alzheimer's disease showed that the condition remained stable or even improved in 3 out of 4 patients. These results were controversial among experts and have not been published to date. But Claude Wischig expressed optimism at the time that, after further larger studies, a drug could be available as early as 2012. End of quotation. Anyone interested in learning more about the role of methylene blue in the fight against Alzheimer's can find various studies on the internet, especially on the PubMed platform. For example, the following studies exist in the context of methylene blue and Alzheimer's disease, but everyone must form their own opinion about their validity. Protective role of methylene blue in Alzheimer's disease via mitochondria and cytochrome C oxidase. Methylene blue and Alzheimer's disease and aminothienopyridazines and methylene blue affect tau fibrillation via cytostein oxidation. Methylene blue as an antidepressant. A 1987 study found methylene blue beneficial for patients with severe depression. Methylene blue functions as a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, preventing the breakdown of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. Disclaimer: if you suffer from depression, consult a qualified professional before considering methylene blue as a treatment. Methylene blue and pro-aging. According to current state of research, methylene blue appears to be useful not only in curative applications in the context of diseases, but also as an anti-aging or pro-aging agent for prevention. To understand this, let's take another look at the diagram above and the electron transport chain. The image shows that enzyme complex 4 is at the last stage of this chain before ATP production begins. Studies have shown that methylene blue can increase enzyme complex 4 by 30%, which increases mitochondrial oxygen uptake by 37 to 70%, stimulates heme synthesis and prevents premature aging. Iron, heme, is an essential element and is involved in oxygen transport, DNA synthesis, and electron transport. Heme synthesis begins in the mitochondria. Every cell needs heme to function properly. Note, although every cell needs iron, caution should be exercised when taking iron externally, for example in the form of dietary supplements. This is especially true for men, as an overdose of iron, also called ferrum, can quickly lead to negative side effects such as endothelial inflammation, etc. Methylene blue. What else can it do? As already mentioned, methylene blue represents a veritable kaleidoscope of diverse application possibilities. This article, respectively video, simply because of its length, cannot claim to be complete or generally applicable. Nevertheless, a few other possible uses of methylene blue should be mentioned, which have been reported in the literature both by scientists and biohacker circles. These details are provided without guarantee. Optimized training effect through increased energy, faster recovery after training, optimized sleep, antidote for nitrite and aniline poisoning, anti-rheumatic, use for diagnosis purposes, in animals as a remedy for the so-called white spot disease, for chronic lower back pain, as injections into intervertebral discs, against Toxoplasma gondii, for parasitic infestations, for fungal infections, against bacteria, against Borrelia, against worms, for high meth hemoglobin levels, against electromagnetic radiation, as eye drops called Col-Riz Bleu, approved in Switzerland, for catecholamine refractory septic shock, arsenic detoxification, for copernicium and cobalt poisoning, think of smokers, and integrative cancer therapy. Learn more interesting facts about methylene blue in an exciting video by Professor Dr. Edinger. You can find the link in the description. Methylene blue, side effects and contraindications? Of course, taking any substance can always cause side effects. Side effects are usually associated with something negative, but this isn't necessarily the case. There can be also positive or neutral side effects. Side effects, as the name suggests, are, first and foremost, effects that can occur outside of the intended primary mechanism of action. For example, someone who takes methylene blue because they think it can improve their memory performance and who eventually experiences bluish green urination will quickly realize that this is indeed a side effect, but according to current research, it probably doesn't cause any real harm. Of course, taking methylene blue, like any substance, can also have negative side effects, which always depend on the individual and, of course, the dosage taken. I've already reported on the mechanisms of action known as hormesis above. Thus, very high dosages of methylene blue can reverse potentially positive effects and lead to electrons being stolen from the body, which is not beneficial for the electron transport chain on the mitochondrial inner wall. See the diagram again. The literature consistently reports very safe use of methylene blue, although rare contraindications are also mentioned at doses above 2 mg per kilogram of body weight. For example, the so-called glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, also known as favism or fabism, or simply G6PD deficiency, which is also a contraindication for very high doses of ascorbic acid, also known as vitamin C. Apparently, methylene blue is also a mild monoamine oxidase inhibitor, which explains its use as an antidepressant. Therefore, the simultaneous use of methylene blue and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, also called SRIs or SSRIs, can potentially lead to serotonin syndrome. As always, consult a trusted doctor or alternative practitioner who has sufficient experience in handling this substance before taking it. Methylene blue conclusion. Methylene blue has been in use for almost 150 years. A lot has happened since its origins as a pure dye, and research is anything but stagnant. As described, the potential benefits are manifold, while the risks and negative side effects are relatively low. Methylene blue is freely available, for example in Germany, and thus accessible to everyone as a 0.5% to 1% solution. If you enjoy experimenting, you can also combine this remedy with other substances, for example with the aforementioned dimethyl sulfoxide, DMSO, etc., as a face cream, etc., etc. The body cannot produce methylene blue itself, which is why it can only be supplied externally if desired. Due to the described mechanism of action along the electron transport chain, it remains questionable whether one should take CoQ10 in addition while taking methylene blue, or whether this would be detrimental. Thank you all for listening. Please subscribe to my channel. hit the bell, then you get an automatically information if a new video shows up. If you want to support me and my channel for further cool videos, also in English, you can do so by donating via the so-called super thanks starting from €2, or you can also become a member of this channel. Then you will always have earlier access to the channel and you support my work. Thanks everybody again for listening. I wish you all an energetic day. Please stay safe and healthy, and let's see each other soon.